Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Now before we get into this video, I just want to share that today I passed a big milestone and hit 300 subscribers, which I know in this whole YouTube universe is not a lot of subscribers, but I really never thought I would get that many. So if you are one of the 300, thank you so much for subscribing and watching my videos, and I just really appreciate you being here. And if you're not one of the 300, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out and means a lot. Now, today's video was actually inspired by a fish extender gift that we received several years ago on a cruise on the Disney Fantasy. So somebody made us this Christmas ornament with our room number. It was actually from December 2018, according to the back of the ornament. But we just love this ornament and it looks so good on our tree every year. And it's one of the favorite fish extender gifts we've ever received. So I know these were pretty popular with the classic ship door numbers on them, but I hadn't seen any for the new style doors that are on the Wish, and I'm assuming on the Treasure as well. So I have been scheming, wandering the aisles of Hobby Lobby, just racking my brain, trying to come up with a way to make an ornament to look like those doors. Now they're a little more complicated than the classic doors since they're not a perfect circle. So here's what I've come up with, and I love how it turned out. So as you can see, it's so cute, and I think you definitely get the, you can definitely tell what it is, and you can tell that it's, you know, that door, and I really like how it turned out. So if you want to know how to make one of these for your upcoming cruise, watch the tutorial because you'll see step by step the process that I went through trying to figure out how to make this thing. Here's my inspiration picture, and as you can see, it's kind of tricky. It's definitely a unique shape, and then it has those curly cues, and the font and everything about it is not really super simple. So I'm gonna do my best to recreate this. I don't have a tutorial or anything that I'm following, so just kind of trying to wing it based on, you know, what I see. And I browsed up and down the aisles of Hobby Lobby today to try to find supplies that would get me this result. So we'll see how it goes. This may be a total fail, but you never know. But here's what I got and what I'm gonna try to use to make this. So first I found these wood plaques. They're called clipped corner plaque 3x5 from Hobby Lobby. They were $3.99 for a pack of 4 of them. So as you can see, they're not the perfect shape. These are definitely more just like a rounded rectangle where this has that unique kind of curvy shape to it. But what I'm hoping is that by using this aluminum wire, I can get this effect with this shape. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure how hard that's going to be, but that's my goal. And I did find this one at Hobby Lobby as well that is closer to the right shape. I think it's a little bit like fat compared to the picture, but it does have more of that rounded shape. But I just thought it was a little bit big for a Christmas ornament. Like if you see the size difference here, it's a good bit bigger than these, and it just seemed like it was gonna take up way too much space on the tree to be an ornament. But if you did want to make something more like a standalone decoration, this could be a good option. This was also from Hobby Lobby. It's called a shield plaque, and it's 7.28 inches by 5.12 inches. And this one's $4.99 for one. So I did find that. And then I have this JB Weld, which based on my research on the internet, they said this is good to attach metal to wood. So my plan is to use this stuff to attach my wire once I get it shaped and bent the right way to the wood. I don't think I've ever used this before, but it seems like it works really fast. This came from Amazon, and so did the wire, by the way. So I can link these in the description below in case you want to try to do this at home yourself. Next up, I have this glitter glue. So these stars on here, I looked everywhere to try to find stickers that were stars this shape, and I had no luck on the internet or at Hobby Lobby. So I resorted to getting some glitter, and I'm just gonna try to freehand the stars to look like that. I could also cut some out on my Cricut, so I might do that too, but I wanted to come up with some options for people who maybe don't have a Cricut and want to try this craft at home as well. Next, I have this blue paint. So I'm gonna paint the wood blue for the background. So that's gonna be my first step. This paint that I got, this just came from Hobby Lobby. I got navy blue is the color, and it's just regular acrylic craft paint. And then I'm probably going to cut out letters from my Cricut, or sorry, not letters, numbers from my Cricut, because it is a pretty unique font. So I'm gonna try to see if I can find something that's close to this. However, I know everybody doesn't have a Cricut or maybe doesn't want to use a Cricut. So I want to come up with an option that everybody can do no matter what. So I also found these numbers at Hobby Lobby as well. They're not perfect, but they were the closest that I could find as far as number stickers go. This is what the package looks like. It's just alphabet stickers from the Paper Studio. These were $5.99, probably on sale though, I would imagine. But this is an option if you don't have a Cricut or don't want to use a Cricut. And then I did get this because I am going to try to cut these out of with my Cricut. But I've never used this brand of vinyl before. It's 405 Basics from Hobby Lobby, but it was only $5. So if any of you have bought vinyl before, you know that that's a very cheap price for a roll of vinyl. So I'm curious to see how it works because it seems a little bit too good to be true. But I figured this project won't get a lot of wear and tear or anything. So even if it's not the best, it would probably be okay. And then finally, I got these pipe cleaners. These are kind of a backup in case my wire doesn't want to cooperate and I need to come up with something else. But I also wanted to just show maybe an alternative option for somebody who doesn't want to use the wire or maybe wants to make it more of a kid-friendly kind of craft. I thought that the pipe cleaners could be an alternative option to the curly Q metal border that we have going on here. And then as far as my tools go, I've got various types of pliers to try to shape and cut this wire. So we will see how it goes. All right, let's get into it. First things first, I'm gonna go ahead and just paint all of these blue. So here we go. All of my little wood plaques are now painted, so I need to let them dry before I can start on the next step. But I really do like this color. I think it's a good navy blue and it looks a lot like the pictures. So if you are trying to do this, this is Americana brand. I bought this at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure they probably sell it other places. And it's called Navy Blue. It's now a few hours later. As you can see, I went to the pool and now we're back and our paint is dry on these. So I am trying to figure out how to get that metal border into the right shape. So as I mentioned, I'm kind of trying to figure this out as I go. So this is where I have landed thus far. So the curly Q is actually super easy to do using needle nose pliers, which I'll show you that in a second. But what I'm trying to do now is get this right, the curve, get it to look exactly right. So I was just playing around with this piece and I drew a squiggle on the paper and then I was able to just with my hands make it match that curve pretty easily. So my idea is I need to come up with a template that is the exact right shape, and then I can use it to match the wire. So I have this picture and I have my piece of wood. So I'm going to try to make this picture look about the exact size that I would want my wire to be. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna take a screenshot that is measured to fit my little piece of wood. So what I'm gonna do is just take a regular piece of printer paper, which I can kind of see through, and then try to trace without moving the picture. Okay, so that is roughly the shape of the arc that I am going for. So now I'm gonna take my marker and just make it a little bit thicker, which will be easier for me to work with. Okay, so that's my template. All right, so I'm not sure how long of a piece of wire I'm going to need. So I think this is probably plenty long. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it here. So the first step is going to be that first curlicue. So this is actually really easy with a pair of needle nose pliers. As you can tell, these have been very used. But you just want to clamp on the very end, and then you'll just wrap it. The first little curve you want to be like really tight, so you can see like that. And then the second loop around is a little bit looser. And let's see how closely it matches what we're going for there. All right, so our spiral lines up pretty well. So now I'm gonna use my hands to just bend the wire to match the rest of it. So this aluminum wire bends fairly easily, so you don't really need any tools to do this part. You're just gonna use your hands. So the main thing is you wanna make sure you're holding it down, really pressing really hard on the part that's already done, so that can be your guide for the rest of it. So I'm just taking this and now bending it around and trying to just stay on the line of my paper. So I have that little, and if you mess it up, you can just like straighten it back out. So I need to make it dip in a little bit, and then now this curve. So you can see here, it kind of dipped in, and now All right, so that is pretty good. I think it should dip in a little bit more. All right, so now I have gotten to my end curly Q, which I'm gonna use my pliers to get that tight curl at the end. So here I need to make sure I like how it is. So that's pretty good as far as tracing. Then for this curly Q, I don't need much wire. So I'm gonna snip it off like here. And then, now the only thing is I don't wanna mess up the shape that I've already created when doing this. So I need to be careful. Just get that curled right around there, like that. And there we go. I think it's pretty good. And then we'll see how it looks when we put it on. And when we compare it to our picture, I think you could definitely get what we're trying to accomplish. All right, so now I have both sides of my little decorative metal piece. So I think they turned out pretty good. They're not 100% perfect, but I think you can definitely get the sense of what I was trying to go for. So now I'm going to move on to the next step. If I start adding any kind of embellishments to here, I want to add a ribbon on the top so that I could use it as an ornament. I didn't buy any ribbon for this, so I'm just using what I have. And I'm just gonna fold this in half because it's kind of wide. But you know, obviously if I was buying ribbon, I'd probably go with like an inch thick rather than this one. But I'm just gonna kind of eyeball. That's about the right length. And then just cut it. And then now I'm gonna take the end, and this is just a little like picture hanging nail. So I'm just gonna put that there. Okay. And the main thing is it did not come through the other side. So I'm gonna loop my ribbon around, and then over here. So now my ornament will hang. I'm going to use my Cricut machine to cut out the numbers for my project. So I haven't seen online if anybody has shared like the exact font for this one. So if anybody has heard or seen, please let me know in the comments because that would be super helpful. But what I did is I just went to this website right here. It's dafont.com. So all of these fonts are free to download, but obviously you're not allowed to use them for anything you're gonna sell or anything like that. But for personal use, they're all free. And I have been spending a lot of time going through here, and I found this one. It's called Albergon by Letterhead Studio, and it's pretty good. I think this is the best one I found. So there's our inspo picture, and here's this one. So obviously the top of the 7's a little bit different, but the 2's pretty good. So the 8 was pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this font. So if you want to use one of these fonts, you just have to download it over here. And then when it downloads, you'll see in your, here we go. It'll pop up. Let me show you how to do it. It'll pop up here like this. And you want to look for the TTF file. And when you double click on it, it's gonna bring up this screen, and there'll be an install button. Obviously, I've already installed it, so it's saying replace, but if you haven't installed it yet, it'll give you an option to install. And then if you don't see it right away in your Design Space software, just close out of it and restart, and then it should be there. And then when you come up here in fonts, instead of going to the Cricut section, you'll go to System section, and then you can just search for it, and it should show up right there. So here we go. We can see the 7128 is the same one we've been using. However, when we are going on the Treasure, and we're not going until next year, but we're gonna be in room 6676. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one since that's the room. So in our inspo pick, the numbers don't go all the way over to the edge. So looking at my little thing, I'm thinking the numbers should be maybe only a little more than 2 inches, but not much more than that. And as you can see, I have lots of help down here as I'm trying to work on this. All right, the Cricut is in action, and I ended up making the numbers 2.25 inches wide. So we'll see how that looks on the piece of wood. Obviously, it's still on the back of the paper, but just looking at the numbers to the picture right there, I think it's pretty close to the right size. So 2.25 inches wide is about right, and the actual font size that I used was size 78. So if you're trying to do this, size 78, and here's the exact dimensions. 2.25 across, and it was 1.07 inches high. Okay, so right now I am just trying to get the numbers to transfer over to my transfer tape. So let's see. All right, beautiful. All right, now I'm going to line them up, and you want to get it centered both ways. I'm just like eyeballing it, but okay, now I'm gonna rub it. Try to get it nice and stuck. I hope it doesn't pull my paint up with it. We'll see how this goes. Again, we have an assistant. Awesome. Looks pretty good. I've never used this JB Weld before, but according to the directions, you have to squirt it out on a disposable surface and then mix it up really well. So we'll see how this goes. That should be plenty. And then they give you this little popsicle stick to stir it up with. And it says that it sets in 1 minute, so you have to work pretty quickly once you start. Okay, now to apply it, I'm gonna use this. It's actually a little thing for eyebrow waxing, but it's just a little bit smaller. So I'm gonna just dab it where my wire is making contact. It is clear, so hopefully even if there's a little excess glue, it's not super noticeable. Okay. Do the other side. So it says it sets in a minute and then dries in an hour. So I want to make sure it's lined up as nicely as it can be. A little extra glue over here. I don't know. Might be better to just leave it alone. So I have it, I think it's in a pretty good spot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get something heavy to put on top so that it sets nice and flat. But I don't want it to get on my book. So I'm gonna cover it with paper and then just set it like that and then let it dry. It's been about an hour, I think honestly a little bit less, but the glue is dry and it's stuck on here really well. Like I can pick it up by the wire and it is not budging. So that JB Weld definitely works really well to secure the wire. So, and I'm so obsessed with it, it looks so cute. But the final touches, there's like some little stars. If we look in the picture, here, we could see that there's like the little stars. So you could definitely cut those out with a Cricut, or if you could find stickers that looked like that. I couldn't find any, but you could do stickers. But I'm just gonna do freehand with some glitter glue and see how it turns out. It's really sparkly, so it might be pretty. As you can see, I've been practicing on piece of paper. So hopefully it turns out okay. how this turned out. I think it's so cute and it'll just look so good hanging on a Christmas tree. So all around, I think this one is definitely a win. And let me know if you try to make it because I definitely want to see your take on this project. So this video is already kind of long, but I did make a version with the pipe cleaners and the number stickers. So I'll put a clip here just so you can see how it turned out. It definitely looks a little bit more like a craft than the other one, but you follow the same exact technique. So I traced the line on the paper just with the pipe cleaner instead of the wire, and then obviously instead of cutting numbers out of the Cricut, I just used those number stickers. So definitely an option there if you don't have a Cricut or don't want to mess with wire. It's definitely more of a craft version than this one, but it's still a really cute option. And if you wanted to, you know, get your kids involved or you just don't want to mess around with the wire, I think you definitely still get the same effect. And I like them both. It's not completely dry yet, but when it's dry, it'll be great. Thanks for watching my video. If you like this kind of content, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.